Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and as always, I'm joined by Aaron
Hello.
and our semi-annual co-host, Lynn.
Greetings, gentlemen.
And tonight we're talking about the final 90s primetime Days of Our Lives special, Winter Heat, which I don't have the exact date, but it aired in January of 94. So roll the credits and we'll get into it. So we open with Lisa Rinna, aka Billy Reed, waking up on a beach, allegedly shipwrecked. And I remember watching this and being like, did I miss something? Like, what happened?
I was thinking the same thing.
Funny. Yeah, it was kind of, I don't know the episode before it, but I was kind of surprised to see her have a full wool sweater on all the way up to her neck on a beach. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I remember watching the Days episode like during a binge and then watching this and I'm like, wait, did I skip an episode? Like, what happened? So no, she was in Night Sins. I was gonna say, is this her first primetime special? This is the first primetime special that she's romantically involved with Bo.
Right.
Because the last two was all about Bo and Carly.
Correct.
And Carly's no longer with us.
On the show. Got it.
This did make me think, why is everyone always so obsessed with Bo and Hope? Like, why did they have to be in game?
Why do you like Bo and Billy?
Yeah. I mean, I like Bo and Carly more, but I do like Bo and Billy.
I like this Bo and Billy. I think you like Julie Pinson's Billy with Bo, don't you?
I do love her Billy. I do.
Yeah, well, Lisa and Peter Reckle, they didn't really have much screen time together before she left the show.
Okay.
Maybe like a month or two.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't really feeling the chemistry right off the bat with RKK and her, though, even though they couldn't stand each other. They're Bo and Billy to me.
That's why they have chemistry.
Yeah. So we find out from Bo's exposition that they were shipwrecked. And apparently she fell asleep and she slept through the whole shipwreck and just like woke up on the beach.
As someone who has slept through many, many storms, I could see it happening.
How did she not drown?
I slept through a tornado once. I mean, it didn't hit our house or anything, but like the sirens went off. It was crazy.
Right.
She was laying on the beach. She was laying on the beach like Reva Shane.
It's James Riley.
So the beach stuff was kind of weird because like you're not knowing what's actually happening and they don't seem worried and it's all like flirty and like I don't want to go back home like because then I have to face the trial, so let's just stay here forever. And I'm like, do you really want to?
At this time, had Bo and Billy had any sort of relationship, or were they just still starting to get? Were they leaning into that, and she's hoping that's going to happen?
We're further along. Carly's gone, so we're further along than when we watched the Sammy episode and they kissed.
Okay.
They might be dating, but he also had to arrest her for the murder of Curtis Reed. That's the trial that they reference.
Okay.
What's a good love story if one of you don't arrest the other?
Yeah, I think she's holding back because what happened was Curtis Reed, her father, came back to town. He was a musician. And when she was younger, he got her hooked on drugs. And I think he kind of pimped her out to his friends.
I think he did too, yeah.
So he's back in town. And I think he drugged her up again. And the next time we see him, he's dead. So she's being accused of his murder.
Got it.
And I think what she's holding back is the fact that he is her father. think.
But meanwhile, she's definitely attracted to Bo, and that's why she's having the feelings in there.
Yeah, because I think the trial is when we find out that she's Kate's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Kate goes on the stand, and then I think that's when all the information comes together. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So there's that. I guess we could just wrap that up because it was really just like them prancing around in the water and
Well,
just
and
an
you find out it's just a fucking dream. I was like, damn you, James Riley. Damn you to hell.
But they spent a lot of money to show this dream. That's the thing that I kind of chuckled about. I'm like, I don't know where this beach was, but they had to go on location somewhere to do this. There was shots of them once they found their beach clothes in this treasure chest trunk that Bo found of them running up and down the beach and then going skinny dipping. But there was like overhead shots, and this was in the day before drones. So I'm like, they had to rent a helicopter for a scene that we saw on the screen for like 3 seconds. I was surprised.
I bet they had bigger sponsors for this. We saw some of the sponsors in the YouTube clip.
Gotcha.
Way, so.
Well, you remember Nights Ends? They had the whole tar mat and the airplane.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's just so funny considering it's a dream and the money they spend and how fast some of these shots go. I was just like, wow, look at that.
I can say I know I watched this when it aired.
Oh yeah,
because he probably got to see Bo's butt in better definition than we did in this clip of him.
No, that's not why I remembered Vivian. I remember Vivian laying there, and I can't remember. Like I vaguely remember it, but I remember seeing Vivian laid there.
It's funny you mentioned that, Lynn. I was just about to say, did you guys clock RKK butt through the leaves? Because I was like, oh.
Oh, you can tell it's prime time.
That's right.
And then I wondered if Lisa really went topless.
Yeah.
Or if she had pasties on.
She probably had pasties on, I imagine.
So yeah, we find out that's a dream, and she's in Bo's bed on the boat, the fancy face. So I'm assuming that they're probably dating.
I kind of miss the fancy face.
Yeah, it burned down. I think the devil burned down.
That boat's been through so much. They've had more than one fancy face.
Yeah, well, when Teenage Sean and Belle were around, it was the fancy face too. Somebody burnt it down. I don't remember who. So yeah, we find out it's dream, Billy's fantasy, if you will, and that's kind of the end of that story.
Well, there's this seashell that is so important that it's making her remember something.
Thank you. We did kind of play on that quite a bit.
And part of me is like, how the hell does this have anything to do with a murder investigation? Seashell. I need to see more. I need to have this answered for me.
Right.
I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember a seashell playing an important part in anything.
It did, remember? Because after they had their little dip in the sea.
No, I remember seeing it in this. I don't remember.
I was about to say, how could you not? Like,
I don't remember it playing a part in the show after this.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but
true.
So now I think we're at the Green Mountain Lodge that in the 90s everybody was always spending a weekend at Green Mountain Lodge.
I forgot about the lodge.
Slopes and everything.
I forgot about the lodge.
So Days gave you both spectrums. They gave you the beach and they gave you the slopes. Hence why maybe winter heat for the.
When I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, that's where the name comes from." I get
it. So Jennifer and Peter are dating-ish, and I love them so much. I love them.
It made me think of Abigail and Chad. Like, just it reminded me of them in a way.
I could see
it.
Yeah, just like a Horton with the Demera, good versus, which Peter didn't seem too evil at the time.
He wasn't. Just like Kristen, they didn't start off that way.
Oh, yeah, they didn't start out villains. And then it's like they turned that switch and then boom.
Yeah.
Full on villain.
I like Jennifer's short hair. It kind of reminded me of how when she came back with short hair recently.
It's interesting. I liked her better in this, and we know I'm not a huge Jennifer fan. So
because
maybe
she's so good with Peter, I'm telling you.
I was about to say maybe it's not that I dislike Jennifer. I dislike Jennifer and Jack.
Perhaps, yes.
And I just didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I don't mind classic Jack and Jennifer. The unfortunate thing is Jack doesn't have any other viable love interests besides Jennifer.
No, he doesn't.
So it's not even like you could like flip flop him with anybody else.
Right.
Because anytime he wasn't on the show, it was because they killed him off.
Now, wouldn't it have been interesting if Jack and Craig both just figured out they were a little bit on the LGBTQIA spectrum, and that was our coming out story? I'm just saying.
Everybody can't be gay.
I think like Jack McFarlane, everyone is gay until proven straight. I'm just kidding. I mean, come on. It's not a far-fetched to think Jack is gay. The few times, the episodes I've watched from the 90s, I like, you could be gay.
Did he play gay on One Life to Live?
He might have, but he played a serial killer, I think.
So he probably was gay because that's what we're thinking. Crazy.
I think he played a serial killer because I remember One Life to Live it was controversial. They had a serial killer storyline, and the guy happened to be gay.
Right.
And like it was very much like, why does he have to?
Yeah.
Right.
That sounds familiar.
I don't know if it was Jack, but I remember Jack was there because I think it's when that lady from Another World was on there as well too. Lisa, she played Vivian for a little bit.
Linda Dano.
That's it.
Oh.
She played Dr. Ray or something, right? Rhea or something.
She was Dr. Ray on there, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Because she became Sky Chandler's Quartermain's mother too, and they did a whole crossover with All My Children, One Life to Live, in General Hospital.
Oh, okay, I never knew they had a three-way. Never knew they had a three-way.
Right. They did.
So do you guys think that it was really them skiing?
I wondered the same. I don't know.
No.
Jennifer did a lot of skiing, and I'm like, but she always had something on her face. I'm like, is that really her, or is it a stunt double?
I think like there are laws and stuff to keep actors from doing certain things. True. And I would say that's probably it's a liability.
Sure.
If your actor gets hurt.
I thought it was very reckless and dangerous of him to be carrying her while still wearing skis.
I did too. I was just like, oh, no.
All I kept thinking about was Sonny Bono.
True. Crash into that tree.
I think that's why I'm afraid to ski. I mean, that one actress from The Parent Trap, all she did was fall and hit her head.
Yeah.
I've never actually skied. I've done cross country, but that's not dangerous. That's flat ground.
Cross country?
Yeah, cross country skiing.
It's more exercising because you're just really having to work it to keep moving forward. You're just on flat land versus I've done downhill skiing multiple times, and it's you go really fast.
Here, cross country is like track, a different,
right?
So I didn't know there was multiple. I don't know anything about sports.
People do it as a form of exercise. It's crazy, but they will.
So also at Green Mountain Lodge, we have Carrie and Austin, and Lucas is there with Alan.
I didn't realize Alan was as prominent as he seems to be.
Yeah, because not too long before this is when he started to kind of become obsessed with Carrie. So
is it safe to say that Austin and Carrie haven't slept together because he's making a big deal on the fact that there's only one bed and he's trying to get that straightened out at the front desk?
No, they have not slept together because they were going to sleep together the night of Nightsins, and then she got hit in the face with acid. And then she pushed him away because she was so disfigured, and all she talked about was my scar, my scar, my scar for months. And I was just like, shut up. I don't care.
Remember.
And she was, I mean, she was not disfigured. Chloe Lane was more disfigured than she was.
Yes, she had a Band-Aid on her cheek for months. That's it.
Wow.
But she was supposed to be the face of the 90s, and she's like, I can't make appearances looking like this. I'm so disgusting.
Oh.
And right there, millions of girls and little gay boys had body issues.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks
because of Carrie Brady.
I'll blame it on someone.
All right, Sammy.
Well, I did want to be her son at one point on Days.
Which I thought was interesting that Sammy and Marlena were not in this episode at all.
Yeah, again, Marlena wasn't in One Stormy Night, and she wasn't in this.
Right. I just am surprised.
Especially considering the major storyline that her character was coming off of.
Right.
With Belle and Sammy and John and Roman.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe they're trying to mix things up.
I will say, Carrie just seems so young next to the guy playing Austin.
Which is why they recasted her originally, because she was so young, and I guess they wanted to give her more mature stories. But the recast was kind of a flop.
Yeah.
Because it's just when I see them together, I'm just like, well, but he's not my Austin Reed either. He's not the Austin Reed I fell in love with.
He's not the Austin that I grew up with. It's Austin Peck.
Yeah, see, that's the one I fell in love with, and yes.
I've seen enough of him at this point from watching, because that's all I do is watch old soaps. I don't watch new ones. That he's become my Austin.
I mean, I have nothing against him. To me, he's still Richard from Melrose Place that hurt Jane.
Right.
He's still the guy that broke up Zach and Kelly on Saved by the Bell for me.
I think that's why originally I didn't like him, though. Because I went from seeing him on that to then on Melrose. And then they brought on Today's, and I was like, I can't like you. Zach and Kelly.
Funny.
So I think Carrie's finally ready to make love. We'll say it that way.
Still the 90s, so gotta say it that way.
But before we get to that, let's go to the
Sometimes I say that just for fun because it's weird. I'll be like, let's make love.
So, Aaron, are you familiar with the story that was going on with Vivian?
Laura was always in some kind of mental hospital or something, I feel like. I remember seeing a lot of everyone always saying she was crazy, or she was like, that was a big part of Laura's storyline in the 90s.
So she had a mental break in the late 70s, and I don't know if it was rewritten or it just worked out this way. But Bill did have an affair with a woman named Kate in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Flash forward to the 90s, they say it's Kate Roberts. And Laura has been in the institution since the 70s because she had the mental break, but she's been kind of catatonic.
Right.
Find out that there's been nurses or doctors there that have been drugging her to keep her catatonic so that they can keep making money off of the fact that she's a patient there.
Like, I don't know why Vivian ended up there.
Vivian ended up there because I think it has something to do with that book that Billy wanted printed. And she found out about the affair with Bill Horton. So she's trying to get information about that affair to ruin Kate from Laura, but Laura's been catatonic.
Okay.
So she made Yvonne get a job there as an orderly.
Poor Yvonne. Anything for Madam.
And I don't remember how she got there. I don't know if she got questioning around, but they basically institutionalized her, and they were going to give her a lobotomy so that she couldn't speak. And I think she wore that bald cap for a few months before.
I was going to say, they shaved her head.
Yeah.
It's funny how Days always has this magical drug, though.
Oh, when he had the serum, I was like, another serum.
I was like, well, at least we're on brand.
Yeah.
Like, it's not new.
I have this serum. It should reverse all the drugs they've given you. When it squirts and it comes out. And I'm like, well, like she can tell you no. She's poor woman can't speak, so I guess she doesn't have a choice. Hope she can trust what's in that thing.
My big memory of Laura is when she's like in a coma, but she can still talk. Like she's here
in her head.
Yeah, and it's just like wake up. Don't that.
But Vivian did a lot of that this episode too, where she's like laying on the table and she's like, "Somebody help me!" and it's all in her head. But
when Vivian punched that nurse, I was like, "Hit her, hit her, hit her!" And then I was like, "Well, Vivian, that was a letdown."
Yeah.
So the actress playing Laura is Jamie Lynn Bauer. Do you know her, Lynn, from YNR?
She used to be on YNR quite a bit in the late 70s, early 80s. Her last storyline is she was gonna marry Victor. And I think she was also out to try and get his company or something like that. And then she called off the wedding and left town. And that was kind of the end of it. I think she returned for Victor and Nikki's first wedding, but that was about it. Then all of a sudden
she made an appearance a few years ago too.
I think so. I think you're right. Maybe I don't know. Did she come around this last time when they killed her character off on Days, or was it somebody else?
No, she was there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I like to see the softer side of Vivian when she was like hugged up on Laura. I was like, "Oh, Vivian, see, she's not just evil."
Right.
Can you imagine Susan Flannery playing Laura? Because she's not the original Laura, but she's well known as Laura in the 70s.
Okay, I was thinking that's who played her, but no, I can't because I see Susan as Stephanie.
As Stephanie.
I mean, it would be like someone else trying to be Victor Newman or someone else trying to be Stefano or Alice Horton. I just couldn't. She is Stephanie.
Have you guys? Have either of you seen Susan Flannery on the original Dallas back in the 80s? She was on there for one season.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen it. The only thing I know her at, like I know she was on Days. I know she was on Dallas, but I know her as Stephanie Forrester.
Sure.
Even before I even watched Bold.
I want to say she was in season 3 or 4 of Dallas.
I think that's right. I think it's like maybe season 4. I think.
Yeah.
I was reading some rumor that there's supposed to be some big twist coming on Bold, and they're like, "What if Stephanie's coming back?" And I was like, "Don't tease me." Even mentioning.
Susan Flannery's been retired from acting for like a decade at this point.
I know. There's also been like people were like, "What happens if they could get Kim Zimmer on YNR?" I was like, "Ooh, I might turn in for that."
That'd be interesting. That'd bring some eyeballs. They'd be smart to do that. I don't know if it'll happen, but
will they use her well? Or
probably
they
not.
had a request and they killed her.
Yeah, I just think she's so East Coast based though, and mostly retired that it'd take a lot, I think, for her to say yes.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't know she's East Coast based, but
yeah.
Sorry, back to Days.
So Vivian.
So Laura ends up getting out of her chair and helping Vivian to escape, and a fire erupts in the sanitarium, and it's just chaos. The power's going out. There's fire.
Yep.
Vivian's punching people, and they're trying to escape, but a beam falls on them or blocks their way.
In this episode?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have looked down.
Yeah, it was when they were in the hallway trying to escape. They had towels on their heads so that their hair
right at the very end. Yeah, it was like probably the last scene of them. They're trying to get out. You're right. The towels on the head was kind of funny to me because I too was worried about Jamie Lynn Bauer's hair going up in flames. She's standing so close to it all the time. I'm like, girl, that hair looks kind of frizzy. It could get pretty quick. You better be careful.
So then I guess Jennifer gets word somebody must have called her because of her mother.
Right.
That something's going down there. And just as Carrie and Austin are about to make love, she's banging on the door for Austin to come bring her to the, I don't know, airport or...
She didn't feel stable enough to drive, so she wanted him to drive her. Yep.
Yeah. And those two had actually become good friends because at one point Jennifer had her own talk show, which you guys know, you saw from
Right.
One Stormy Night.
Sure.
And at one point, Austin was a guest, and they liked him so much that he kind of became semi-permanent, and they were kind of co-hosts.
Okay.
So that's how they became close.
Sure.
Just to give you a little context to their relationship. So he leaves, and Carrie stays behind, and she's kind of just waiting for him to come back. And there's a knock at the door, and she's like, she thinks it's Austin, and I'm like, why would Austin knock? It's his room.
Well, and I was like, ooh, that was a fast trip to the airport.
Right.
And she opens the door, and there's a man in a ski mask there.
Clearly, Alan.
And the episode ends with her saying, "What do you want? Or what are you going to do to me?" or something like that.
But they showed you previews, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch the next episode.
It's on
So this
hard drive.
obviously must have been a Friday night show because then they said on Monday and they had a preview for it.
Yes.
I wondered, did they like advertise it like that Friday they had a show and like, hey, watch us tonight at da-da-da-da-da.
So once again, in the beginning, they said the soap opera awards tonight, hosted by Lisa Rinna and somebody else. Wait, Kelsey Grammer, I think. And I thought that was weird that he was hosting a soap opera award show.
Right.
I will say their title credits of the 3 primetime special, this was the best one.
I agree. I thought the same thing watching it. I'm like, wow, this opening's actually kind of catching, and I'll kind of remember it. It's making me pay attention a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like Night Sun's the best. Yeah.
Well, 2-1, so.
It doesn't negate my opinion.
Just drink your wine, girl.
So also we got a little taste of Lucas's alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
And this played out for years before they even made this like storyline. They just would have randomly have him getting drunk, but they never really like talked about it. I would say at least 3 or 4 years.
It was funny when Lucas was like, once I'm 21, I'll buy you a drink. I'm like, he don't need you to buy him a drink. He's already 21.
Yeah, right.
But, okay.
So, yeah,
was it just ironic? Was it just ironic that Lucas was there too? So they were trying to confuse the audience on could he have been the guy in the ski mask, or what was the story?
That's probably what they were trying to do because Lucas was also really crushing hard on Carrie.
Okay.
So they were probably not really crushing. He has an obsession.
Yes. Which is why when Sammy kind of turns on Carrie, they kind of team up to break them up so she could get Austin.
Got it.
Oh, good times.
And then Will comes into the picture. And that they kind of have a fracture in their friendship for quite a few years once they find out that Will is Lucas's.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it becomes a custody battle over who gets custody of Will.
Sure.
And then Sammy goes to the the lethal injection, and
how many times did Days do that lethal injection thing? They did that with
for sure twice. John and Sammy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did they do it with oh my god, Sin also? Didn't they do it with Ben? Was it he?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was just institutionalized.
Okay. I don't think they've done it again. Okay. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I don't think they've done it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the John one was supposed to be an homage to Sammy. But I'm not really sure. I say it all the time. I wish there were episodes on from like when.
Oh, no. We're talking about the first time. Like there was a time when John was actually in the like gas chamber. Well, he was being sent to the gas chamber, I think.
Right.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And then Sammy, and then they had the fake, the April Fool's Day one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was for Tony's murder that he was gonna be. Yeah, I
got it.
It all came back to me.
That wine's hitting hard.
I only had 3 sips. Did we miss any characters?
No,
What did you guys think of it?
I liked it.
I do
It
too.
was
I'm
kind of
glad
slow.
I'm glad the Vivian stuff was there because I think that added a little bit more
Some
danger
suspense,
because it
yeah.
didn't happen. You know, the danger point didn't happen with Carrie till the end, but it's like you needed something more than just the love stories that were kind of going on all around. And locations and stuff were good, but the Vivian stuff added the spice, which I can see if there wasn't anything going on with Sammy and Marlena too heightened or emotional or plot driven, it wouldn't have been good to have them on that special.
Yeah. It could have been a good way, if, instead of them doing it in the daytime show, for them to have the reveal that Sammy knew about John and Marlena. But
right.
But then that would have been a full year. Which it is James Riley. Wouldn't put it past him.
I thought it was a good episode. It was well paced. It kept you going through it, and it was good. There were some reveals and stuff that happened, and I liked it.
It's not my favorite out of the 3. I always go back to Knightson's. I don't know. I have a special place in my heart for that one. This one, I felt like you said, Vivian was like the consistent, like high energy, like what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Everything else, it just kind of lagged. I felt like it was just all like goody goody, like we're in love. So
there was
like
a lot of that, yeah.
But so, how would you guys rate this?
7.5.
I was gonna say 6 to 6.5.
I mean, I love Vivian, so
yeah,
and I love Lisa Rinna, so those were the saving grace.
True.
Do you get a kick? I was gonna give it a 5, but Lynn, do you get a kick out of seeing Lisa having like watching since you watch her on Housewives, Real Housewives?
It's funny seeing her energy. You know, she kind of brought a lot of that energy that she had on Days over to Melrose Place too. And she was the hoot on Melrose Place because, as we all know, Melrose Place was like the batshit crazy soap that you just do everything. Like people were trying to kill each other, blow things up week after week. Yeah. And she was good. You know what I mean? I think she did really good on Days. I think her and Robert Coker Kelly, I think they had chemistry. I realize personally they maybe didn't get along, but you didn't see that come through on the screen. So as a professional, she was an actress and she got it done. But I think she's on most of the time, just like she's on when she's on Housewives. She's in there to stir shit up and she enjoys doing that. So it's kind of fun.
I had a thought when Vivian was still on the bed tied up with the thing in her mouth.
Right.
Like, wow, they really did some crazy stuff with this character. And she's known for Santa Barbara, but she would leave Santa Barbara and come back. Yeah. But she was on Days for like a good 9-10 years straight. And I'm I wonder if she loved doing these crazy stories. And that's why
she left in 2000, I believe.
Yeah, and she came on in like 92, 91.
92, yeah. And then, she came back for that second stint and then has been here and there.
Yeah.
So she's been on Days, if you add her time together, 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Well, after her second stint, I feel like when she does interviews, the recurring thing is that the pacing's not for her anymore, especially now. They film the way they film.
True.
Is understandable.
Yep.
Which is why when I think she comes, it's only for like a week at a time or like a month.
Seemed like probably her longest stint with Days was when they brought on Tyler Christopher back in like 2017 or whatever. She was on, I feel like, for like a good 10 months or something like that. So
when they brought her back, though, it's also been her character. It's been COVID, so she hasn't been able to.
That's true.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, I think I sent you a screenshot of the tweet, but Robin Strasser had lunch with her last week. And I was like, oh, the two Vivians having lunch together.
They have a lot of respect for each other, which is really cool.
And they're both New York based.
Yep. A lot of daytime history there with both of them. And they were both on Knots Landing at one point. Different times, but yep.
Very different times. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this episode.
I don't either.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for joining us for this special primetime episode of Queers and Soaps. And as always, you can check us out on all the socials at Queers and Soaps and subscribe at patreon.com/Queers and Soaps for exclusive content. Until next time, have a great night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.